It's been a couple weeks since the full Secluded Springs set has released, and today we're going to be making a tier list for all of the important cards that dropped in this set. Just to clarify real quick for the format of this video, I'm only including the cards that actually have like some sort of effect with their attack or an ability or something like that. So if a card dropped and it's literally just a basic like 2 energy, 50 damage, no other effects, I'm not including it in this because I don't think those cards are worth adding to this tier list video. And then if a card is an evolution card, I'm only including the final evolution. So for example, you guys might see here I have Talonflame. So if I have Talonflame in here, I'm not going to throw Fletchling and Fletchinder in here as well unless I think they're actually noteworthy. With that out of the way, let's kick off this tier list. And starting off, I'm going to go with Jumpluff EX, and I'm immediately putting this in S tier. I know this might be a little controversial, but I think Jumpluff is actually extremely underrated. This is basically an EX card that gets to attack without actually giving up EX points. Your opponent needs a way to pull you in from the bench to actually damage you, and so you can throw a Jumpluff EX in a deck as the only EX, and basically throw up other non-EX cards to tank for it. It's very broken. Sunflower, I'm going to be honest, I'm putting in C tier. This card seems very weak to me. It's 2 energy, 50 damage, you flip a coin. If heads, then the attack goes up to 80 damage. And I mean, I guess that's cool for 2 energy, 80 damage, but it's still a coin flip card, and so it's going to need too much support. You're going to have to throw Will in your deck. I don't think Sunflower is that good as well. It's only 90 HP, so very weak in my opinion to justify the damage on there. Celebi's up next. I gotta put this one in A tier. I haven't actually made a deck with Celebi yet, but I think Celebi is very underrated for evolution decks. I want to make a video with that very soon, because one thing I did realize about evolution decks is that most evolution cards, the basic ones, are only going to be 60 health. And so if you have like a Rocky Helmet in your deck and your opponent takes damage from attacking you, and then you attack them with Celebi, they're going to get knocked out because they're going to get devolved back to the basic and they're just going to die. So I think Celebi is definitely very strong. I'm going to put it in A tier instead of S tier just because I haven't actually used it yet. But Celebi, definitely very goated. Alright, we got Durant up next. I'm putting this one in B tier. I think Durant could be better if maybe it wasn't grass type energy, or maybe if it had one colorless as well, because right now there's not really a great way to ramp up grass energy quickly. I mean, I guess technically you have Superior, like if you get a turn 1 rare candy Superior, then you could attack immediately. But in my opinion, Durant just takes too long to set up. If you end up going first, then it has to take you 3 turns just to attack with Durant. And being able to discard a card that's in your opponent's deck, you want to be doing that as soon as possible before they actually get the chance to draw that card, in my opinion. And so that's why Durant just isn't good enough. Like it's too expensive for energy. Talonflame, I'm also going to throw in B tier. This card is just alright. It's going to be 1 energy, 50 damage, and it's also going to burn your opponent. I mean, it's solid. The damage is a little low in my opinion. Like, I would prefer it to be a 2 energy attack since it's a stage 2 and maybe do a little bit more damage, because 50 damage plus a burn is cool and all, but it's not enough stopping power in these days. Entei EX, I'm going to put it in A tier. I do like this card a lot. Again, the ability is fantastic. The only thing holding Entei back is the fact that it needs so much energy attached to it, and I know we have more ways to deal with this in the current meta, but still I think Entei is just a little bit too expensive of a card to be considered S tier in my opinion. Okay, Tentacruel, I'm going to put this one in B tier. I haven't used this card yet, but it actually looks very toxic. It's 3 energy, it does 50 damage, and then you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned and paralyzed. That's actually like extremely diabolical, and I mean, maybe now that not as many people are running Lyra anymore, it could be good. I just think paralysis is not good if your opponents run Lyra, because it can just easily bypass the paralysis effect. But as long as you're playing against someone who doesn't have Lyra, then any deck like this can be really goated, and especially with Will, this card can be strong as well. I think Poison and Paralyze, the double effect, is the reason why I think this card could have a lot of potential. Slowking, I'm going to be honest, I'm putting this one in B tier. I was thinking about Poop tier. I think it has potential to do some good damage, but again, you have to discard all your Pokemon tools, so you can't even put them on your Slowking if you actually want to be doing damage. Like, the 1 energy for up to 100 damage is cool and all, and we do have the new supporter card Traveling Merchant to help buff it, but it's still just not good, I'm not gonna lie. I would almost put it in Poop tier if it couldn't do 100 damage for 1 energy. That's the only reason I'm putting it in C tier. Alright, Jinx is also going in C tier. This is a 2 energy attack that does 40 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. I'm gonna be honest, not much to say about that. I just don't like this card. I don't think it's good. Alright, Suicune without a doubt is going in S tier. I mean, this card has been dominating the meta since it dropped, and for good reason. It's just very strong. It forces your opponents to basically be scared to fill up their bench here. You're going to be doing more damage with your Suicune, and of course, in addition to all that, you have the card draw ability, which just makes Suicune even better because you don't need like a Sylveon or anything. Suicune makes itself consistent. My Logic, I'm going to put in B tier. I'm tempted to throw it in A tier. I just haven't really seen a lot of people using it yet. I think Milotic will be good in the future. It's a great water support card, and I think if we get like another stage 2 card or something like Primarina who really relies a lot on healing and staying healthy, then Milotic will be great for it. Mantike obviously has to go in S tier. I mean, ramping a free water energy, I don't even need to justify that. Mantike is obviously an S tier card. This is going to be in the meta basically forever. Cryogonal, I'm going to throw it in, I don't know if I want to put it in B or C, because Cryogonal is just okay. It's going to do 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and like, this is cool, I guess. You know, I'll put it in, I don't know. I'll put it in B tier. I might change my mind later. But the only reason why I think Cryogonal has some potential, first off, it has a water energy, so it can be rimped by Mantike faster. And secondly, with Cryogonal, you can actually one-shot baby Pokemon, and so you can hard counter baby Pokemon that are on the bench with Cryogonal. So I think that's another reason why it deserves to be in B tier. Raikou is also going in B tier, by the way. This is definitely the worst of the dog trio. I never even made a deck with this card, and I don't want to because it's not good. Like, it does 60 damage and also 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Like, I don't care that much about the 10 damage. Like, all the other cards actually have a good effect with their attacks, and Raikou is just bad. I'm not gonna lie. Electros, I'm gonna throw this one. This is tough, actually. I'll put it in B tier. I think 120 damage is very high, and because we have Pichu ramping as well, this card has the potential to be great. Like, for a non-EX card, it's pretty good. Boltund, this might be questionable, but I'm actually going to put it in A tier. I know y'all might be looking at me like, what is this guy cooking right now? But hear me out. Boltund basically is always going to attack with one energy. Like, you just have to let it take damage, and there's ways you can get around that. You can use cards like Emolga who damage one of your benched Pokemon, and so as long as your Boltund has damage, you're doing 70 damage for only one energy. I just think Boltund is going to be great in electric decks going forward. Mismagius, I'll put this one in C tier. I haven't seen anyone really using it yet. I mean, the attack looks cool. It does 90 damage to the defending Pokemon at the end of your opponent's next turn, so they can basically choose who wants to take the damage, which is kind of the only reason I'm not really a big fan, is because you attack with Mismagius and you don't get to do anything. You basically just waste a turn, and your opponent gets to pick who takes the damage. Now, there is a lot of potential here where your opponent picks a Pokemon to take the damage, and then the next turn you can come in and like revenge kill or something like that. But otherwise, I'm not really a big fan of that. Alright, Galarian Cursola, I'm putting it in C tier. This is another like gimmick card. I think it's kind of funny, obviously, with the ability if your opponent knocks you out and then you flip a coin and if heads, then they also get knocked out. I just think that's really funny. Unfortunately, it can't be buffed by will, or else it'd probably be a little broken. But Galarian Cursola, it's just a funny card. Again, I haven't really seen anyone use this card yet when I've been playing online, but it's still a very funny card. Latios and Latias. I'm going to be honest, I'm putting both of these in poop tier. They really let me down. I was really looking forward to a good Latios and Latias card, and these cards were just really bad. Like, they need both. You need both of them for them to be able to synergize with each other. And then Latios's attack isn't even good. It's 3 psychic energy, 120 damage, and you have to discard all energy that's attached to it. If it was like discard 3 energy, then at least you could keep continuously ramping it on the bench or something. But discard all energy is what's really like throwing it away for me. I don't like this card. I don't think it deserves to sort of have this gimmick. Like, I wish they made it better. Doug Trio, I'm gonna put this in C tier. It looks just okay. It's 1 energy, 40 damage, but you discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a fighting type card, then the attack goes up to 100 damage. It has a lot of potential, especially with like Hiker or something. So I think Doug Trio could be really good, but you kind of need like a really good hand in order to make it work. Poliwrath, I don't know if I'm gonna put this in S tier, A tier. I think I'll put it in S tier. Poliwrath EX is extremely strong because it has 2 ways it can be buffed. Number one is with its own attack, which does 100 damage, but it has 2 colorless energy in that 3 energy attack, and if one of those energy is a water type, it goes up to 140. And then you can also buff it with Toad, which can bring it up to 180 instead if you also have the water energy. Not only that, but Poliwrath is also a fighting type, so if you don't want to use Toad, you can also just use Lucario and get the buff that way. So Poliwrath really has a lot of different ways that it can be buffed, and it does so much damage. Like, if you set up a Poliwrath correctly, it can one-shot anything. So I think Poliwrath definitely going in S tier. Donphan is gonna go in the C tier. I mean, I don't know. I'm debating putting it in poop tier, but I'll put it in C tier. The only good thing about Donphan is its ability. It takes -20 from attacks, but 3 energy, 80 damage is just not worth it in this day and age. Like, I'm not using that as an attack. It needs to do something else besides that. Alright, Relicanth is actually going in poop tier, by the way. I'm tired of these fighting type cards getting like colorless attacks that just do no damage. Like, I don't care enough about fighting type to use that. Like, I'm not gonna throw Relicanth in the deck. This card is actually just straight poop. Crustle I'm putting in C tier. I think if this wasn't a coin flip attack and instead it just did like a straight 120 damage or something, then I'd probably put it higher. But the fact they have to rely on a coin flip, again, going up to 150 is cool, but for 4 energy, that's a pretty hefty price, and so I just don't think that Crustle is worth it. Up next, we got my friend Malamar. I'll put it in B tier. I think it's just okay. I mean, 1 energy, it does 20 damage to every Pokemon, so basically a slightly stronger version of Spiritomb, which I still think Spiritomb's like an A tier card in my opinion. Just because Malamar requires an evolution, I'm going to put it in B tier because you can't be attacking immediately with it. But otherwise, it's solid. It sets up a lot of good Cyrus plays. It could be great with like an Umbreon EX deck. Alright, Seviper is definitely going in poop tier. It does 40 damage, but if your opponent's active Pokemon is Zangoose, then it goes up to 80 damage. There's not enough people running Zangoose for this card to be justified. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, it's cool that it counters Zangoose directly, but otherwise, 2 energy, 40 damage is way too weak. Altaria, I'm gonna have to throw this baby in S tier, I'm not gonna lie. I've made a deck with Altaria, it's super strong. It does basically a free 100 damage as long as you have 2 different energy types attached to it. Not only that, but it has no weaknesses because it's a dragon type, and it's 120 health. So it's actually kind of hard to deal with Altaria, especially if you have like Giant Cape as well, so it can't get one shot by 120 damage cards. Then Altaria could definitely be a threat. Zoroark, I'll put it in B tier. This card has a lot of potential. I think the effect is cool. Basically, its abilities, if you knock out your opponent's Pokemon, then in the next turn, it cannot take any damage, and so you can basically just attack again for free. And which is kind of why I say like Zoroark has potential. I think you need like a Cyrus setup to make it actually work though. Licky, I'm gonna be honest, I'm throwing this thing in the poop tier. It has a 3 energy attack that does 60 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but I mean, for 3 energy, that's kind of crazy. Like, I'm not using that attack. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there should not be a benched attack that's only doing 60 damage for 3 energy. That's way too expensive of a price. Azurill, I'll put it in A tier. I haven't seen a lot of people use this card yet, but I mean, Azurill seems like it could be really nice. I guess like if you get a bad start and then your card is about to die, you can just sacrifice the Azurill so that you can heal 50 damage to it, which like definitely not bad. You know, I think Azurill healing can come in clutch. I just haven't really seen a use for it yet. I'll also put Igglybuff in A tier just because, again, it is a free attack and it's going to put your opponent's Pokemon to sleep. So leading with Igglybuff is basically like a guaranteed your opponent is not attacking or doing anything for the next turn unless they flip heads on that sleep check. Zangoose I'll also put in A tier. I've seen a lot of people using this card. It's alright, you know, like the ability counterattack is what really makes it shine, because if your opponent attacks you while you have the Zangoose in the active spot, then they actually are forced to take 20 damage for that. And in addition to its 50 damage attack, Zangoose is just a pretty solid card, and because it's colorless, you can use it in any deck, so I think Zangoose has a lot of versatility. Miltank is also going in A tier. This is a really funny card in my opinion, just because, again, it's the whole like you want to run only Miltank, but once you get it rolling, it's really hard to shut it down. Like, your opponent basically has to have a card that one-taps you or they're probably going to lose. Inflatable Boat, I'm going to throw this one in A tier. I don't really think this is worth it. Like, it can be. I guess Inflatable Boat is better over like an X speed, just because your opponent might be forced to like play a Guzma to shut you down, versus if you have X speed, then you just get to get away with it. I think Inflatable Boat is only worth it if you want to force your opponent to play a different supporter card to try and stop you. Memory Light also going in A tier. This has a lot of potential. I haven't really made a lot of decks with older cards using Memory Light, but I really want to. One idea that I had immediately was with Melmetal, because Meltan can attach energy to itself, and so throwing Memory Light on that could actually be kind of goated. And I'm sure in the future more Memory Light decks will come out that are going to be really strong. Whitney, I guess I'll put it in A tier next to the Miltank just because they're kind of like a pair, like they belong together. You need Whitney to heal your Miltank for 60 damage, otherwise it's kind of just useless. Traveling Merchant, I'll put this in B tier. I think it's just okay. I feel like it's more so for gimmick decks, kind of like that Slowking one we were talking about earlier, but otherwise, it's not really great. It also can actually be good in a solo Pokemon strat. Like when I made my Miltank deck, I actually put Traveling Merchant in there so I could try and pull my Giant Capes faster, because I just had like too many cards and I was like, okay, I only have 2 Capes and the rest are like trainer cards. So I actually threw Traveling Merchant here to try and find my Pokemon tools faster. So if you really rely on Pokemon tools, like if you're running a Skarmory or something like that, then I guess Traveling Merchant is decent. Morty, I'll also throw this guy in B tier. He's basically like the Hiker but in Psychic type form. And once again, I haven't really seen this used a lot because Psychic isn't really meta right now. Most people are running like, you know, Suicune and all of these newer like trio element cards, and so you're not seeing a lot of Psychic types, but Morty does have a lot of potential to be great in the future. That's going to be all the cards from this set. The full tier list is here on screen. Let me know if you guys agree with it or not in the comments, because again, these are just my opinions, and I'm sure a couple of these y'all definitely think are going to be controversial topics. But other than that, if y'all did make it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and I cannot do that without your support, so please consider subscribing. That's all for me though, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.